Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back, guys. So, in this particular session, what we will be doing is that we will be studying, okay? So, I will be studying basically. So, let's study this particular problem. It's from ACCA Strategic Business Leader. And then after that, what's the name of the company? Protech Public, right? That's the name of the company. And what has happened? So, Argo City Authority administers environmental, social care, housing, and cultural services to the city of Argo. Which authority? Argo City Authority, right? Argo City Authority. Basically, what do? They administer environmental, social, housing, and cultural services to the city of Argo. The city itself has many social problems, and a recent report from the local government auditor criticized the CEO for not spending enough time and money addressing the pressing housing problems of the city. The city has many social problems, and recent report from local government auditor. Okay, so auditor, right? CEO for not spending enough time and money addressing the pressing housing problems of the city. Okay, so since 1970, the authority has had its own internal information technology department. Let me just change the color. It's just a bit too bright for me to look at the screen for a long period of time. And high contrast should do the job. What the? And it does not work out here. Nope, I don't think it works out in this particular case. Nope, it does not work out. Okay, fine. It's not a PDF, so I mean it's just a created PDF, so I guess that's why. So, however, there has been increasing criticism of the cost and performance of the department. Cost and performance of the IT department, right? Since 1970. So that's been a long period of time. Has its own internal criticism of cost and performance. Okay. IT requires significant cost, but let's see. The CEO has commented that we seem to expand the department to cope with special demands such as millennium bug. But the department never seems to shrink back to its original size when the need has passed. Millennium bug, right? Expand the department to cope with the special demands such as millennium bugs. And then some employees are lost through natural wastages, but some employees are lost through natural wastages. But there have never been any redundancies in IT, and the labor laws of the nation and strong trade unions within the authority make it difficult to make staff redundant. So it's the law as well, and then it's the union as well, right? That's the two pressing things. So I'll just write it down. Law and union. Law and union, right? So what were the problems? Let's write it down as well. Okay. So One is environmental, two is social care, three is housing and cultural services, right? So three. So they are tasked with three basically broad objectives. So in the recent years, there has been an ongoing dispute between managers in the IT department and managers in the finance function. Why is that? The dispute started due to claimants about the falsification of expenses. Falsification, that's a very big one, of expenses, but has since escalated into personal battles between the director of IT and the finance director. The CEO has had to intervene personally in this dispute and has spent many hours trying to reconcile the two sides. However, still issues still remain, and there is tension between the managers of the two departments. A recent internal human resource survey of the IT department found that despite acknowledging that they receive above average pay, they are not satisfied. Why is that? The main complaints were about poor management, ingratitude of user departments for their services. We are always being told that we are overheads and not core to the business of the authority. That's a very bad narrative. It just affects morale, right? The slogan has to be changed over here. And the absence of promotion opportunities within the department, the ingratitude of the users. Let's see. So the absence of promotion opportunities within the department. So and the absence of promotion opportunities within the department. Okay, so promotion is also here. But thank you. So there should a bit of shuffling of the employees. Maybe that is required as well. And the ingratitude of users is despite the IT department running a relatively flexible approach to fulfilling their needs. So there is no cross charging for IT services provided. Okay, so no cross charging. If they start charging, maybe they will use it, right? So provided and changes to user requirements are accommodated right up to the release of the software. Accommodated. That's how software should be, but that's just the characteristics, right? So the director of IT is also critical of the staffing constraint. So this can be basically negligible. It should be a feature of any software, right? But still, so I think cross charging will be a bit. It should be given a bit to it is then accommodation in terms of the argument against the finance department. So the director of IT is also critical of the staffing constraints imposed on him. Okay, so there is some issues with staffing constraints, and what happens? So they say like there is no promotion opportunity is not there, and still they have a shortage. That means what? Like manager post is still empty. Empty positions should be the higher ups, or maybe they could just promote staffs internally and then hire at the lower end, right? Because they already know what's going on. So that could be a choice as well. And then he has recently tried to recruit specialists, good, in web services and cloud computing without any success. He also says there is probably other technologies that I have not even heard of that we should be exploring and exploiting. So since this has not come into fruit, or this has not beared any fruit, so like they should try this first. The CEO has been approached by large established IT service company Protech to form a new company, Protech Public, that combines the public sector IT expertise of the authority with the commercial and IT knowledge of Protech. Okay, so approached by large IT to form a new company which is called Protech Public. Right. Okay. So the company will be called Protech Public, and that combines the public sector IT expertise of the authority within the commercial and IT knowledge of the Protech. The joint company will be owned by 50%, 51% by Protech, 49% by the city authority. All existing employees in the IT department and the IT technology of the city authority will be transferred to IT department and IT technology as well. So that's like outsourcing kind of thing, right? And then will be transferred to Protech, who will then enter into a 10-year outsourcing agreement with city authority. Outsourcing, so we have to maybe talk about that as well, benefits and things. So CEO is very keen on the idea, and he sees many other authorities following this route. So keen sees other authorities as well, right? The only exception to this transfer of resources concerns the business analysts who are currently in IT department. They will be retained by the authority and located in a new business analysis department, reporting directly to the CEO. In principle, the creation of a new company and okay, in principle, so new company, and then the outsourcing deal has been agreed. So evaluate the potential benefits to the city authority and the IT employees of outsourcing IT to Protech city authority and the IT employees as well. Let's have a look at the answer as well then. So Protech Republic, right? The key answer tips. What's the answer tips? So an answer that simply regulates generic issues with regards to outsourcing will not score well. So issues need to come from the scenario and be explained with examples from the scenario. The scenario suggests a number of reasons why outsourcing should be beneficial to the city authority. So number of reasons. Firstly, over the last decade, there have been fluctuations in demand for IT staff. The authority has recruited to meet short-term demand, which is correct, but because of problems of shedding labor, the IT department has not proportionally contracted once the demand has passed. Has not proportionally contracted. Alright, so once the demand has passed, the implication is that as a result, IT staff costs are higher. Then there should be the outsourcing model provide a way of matching supply to demand. Employees are only brought in when there is a specific project for them to work on, right? So they had earlier recruited a lot of them, and then as you can see, like they were like talking about how like the cost was very high, or IT staff costs were very high. So that was basically they hired initially a lot of people, and then later on now it's not contracting. That's the issue over here. So there has been a history of conflict between managers in the IT department and managers in the finance department, and the CEO has basically he's done all that to resolve the conflict. Employee survey by the HR department have reported morale is low, which is very correct. Morale is low, right? So despite this word is very crucial. Despite they pay above average and relatively secure employment, outsourcing would appear to be. I did not notice this point. This is a very good point from analysis, right? So government jobs are basically considered, quote, in quote we should write that, secure, but that's in big quote. So outsourcing IT will appear to offer the following advantages to the authority, right? So what are the advantages? The chief executive and his team would be able to focus on delivering services to the city. So chief executive and his team, and rather than spending time and thinking on resolving internal problems. So the chief executive has been criticized for failing to tackle housing problems of the city. So outsourcing IT would give him more time to address external issues and services which are primary objective and responsibility. So it is hampering the primary objective of the company itself. Primary, that's the important word over here. So although the problems of low morale may be in part due to management problems, it might be recognized that promotion opportunities and recognition will probably be lower in an organization where IT is relatively small support rather than core activity. It is must also be recognized that promotion opportunities and recognition will probably be lower. Yeah, of course, like another thing that I might add to this could be like, suppose if this organization is small, then like they don't have the newer technologies, right? So suppose if you are a start, you want to learn and grow kind of thing. So if your company is not investing in the new technology and also you won't be growing as well, right? As a professional kind of thing. So it would be a good idea or better from that perspective, I guess, to send it to outside so that they get the flavor of new technology along with doing their job kind of thing, right? So this is reflected in the ingratitude of users towards IT staff. So we are always being told that we are overhead, not core to the business of the authority, right? So it can be argued that IT staff might be better motivated in an organization where IT is core activity and where there should be greater scope for learning. That is what I was talking about. New skills and gaining promotion. It's not only about security, secure employment and pay, right? It's about the people that you work with and the learning environment nowadays. So finally, the dispute between IT managers and finance managers has still not been resolved. So outsourcing the IT department will at best eliminate the problem and at worst make someone else's problem. So in reality, inability to resolve internal political problem is often given as an important reason for outsourcing. The director of IT is keen to exploit the opportunities of web services and cloud computing, but has not been able to recruit someone of sufficient caliber. But he says there are probably other technologies that I have not heard of that we should be exploring and exploiting. An outsourced IT supplier should have a greater range of knowledge and expertise or skills that can be made available to its customer. So it will be keen to be at the leading edge of technologies because these technologies offer its possible competitive advantages, and so it will be at the cost of recruiting, retaining specialist employees, everything, right? So another thing is, so finally, the chief executive recognizes that outsourcing is likely to be a model followed by other authorities. The formation of a separate company in which city authority has a significant stake might provide an appropriate vehicle for gaining contracts with other authorities. They might be particularly attracted to working with a company which has significant public sector expertise and ownership, and then profit made by the company may be distributed by the dividend to the authority. bringing in income that can be used to reduce taxes and improve services. Another crucial point that can basically offset it, right? 12 marks. Okay, that was an interesting read. So that's it for this particular session, I guess, and then I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.